Hello, boys and girls, and thank you for joining me today for your language arts lesson in Unit 3, Lesson 3, and Unit 3, Lesson 6. So the first one that we're going to do is Lesson 6, and you're going to need your pen or pencil, your language arts packet, and of course your Animal Adaptations book. If you don't have those materials, gather them now and pause the video. Welcome back, guys. So I've already started in my language arts packet for Unit 3, Lesson 6. We were looking at context clues for our newest reading in our Animal Adaptations book called One Body, Many Adaptations. Now remember, context clues are just words that we read to help us define the words that we don't know. And the words that we don't really know yet or not quite sure of are the word frigid, projections, and blubber. So we were looking at these three words in the reading One Body, Many Adaptations, and we were using the words around it, or the context clues, to help us define what we thought it could be. So taking a look at frigid, we can find this on paragraph 1. Projections we can find in paragraph 4. And blubber we can find in paragraph 9. And when I read this, I came up with these context clues. I want to see if you can find what I found. So in our Animal Adaptations book, I'm going to turn to page 22, and I want you to do the same. So for One Body, Many Adaptations, in paragraph 1, where it's labeled, I found the word frigid. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read the words, the sentences that lead up to the word frigid, and maybe I'll even read the sentence right afterward. These are called context clues, these sentences. And when you read, boys and girls, and you come across a word that you don't know, sometimes reading these sentences around the word that you don't know help us define what we think it is. So I'm going to read the sentences surrounding the word frigid, and let's see if we can figure out what it means. Animals live in many different places. Some animals live in hot deserts. Others live in frigid oceans. However, all have become adapted to where they live. Okay, so when I read that, I saw some interesting information in here. The first thing that I read was that animals live in different places, and I shortened the word different by putting the word diff, right? So first of all, I know that they live in different places, and then it talked about these different places, one being the hot desert, and the other different place would be the frigid ocean. Now I know those two are opposite of each other, right? That's what different means. It means that one is opposite of the other. So if we have a hot desert, the opposite of hot would mean cold. Did you get that too? And when I looked up the word in our online dictionary, I found that frigid actually does mean very cold and freezing. So we got that one right. If you haven't had a chance to write this down in your packet, pause the video and write down the information for frigid that we found. Let's move on to projections in paragraph 4. Projections in paragraph 4 is on page 23 of One Body, Many Adaptations. And here we're going to be talking about the octopus, right? So again, I see the word projections. It's right in the middle of the paragraph. So I'm going to read all the sentences that lead up to the word projections, and maybe even the sentence right after it, to help me figure it out. The octopus also uses camouflage to survive. There are many different colors on the ocean floor. To blend into its surroundings, the octopus has projections sticking out of its skin and special color-changing skin cells. Okay, so around the word projections, I saw 2 different clues that gives me an idea of what projections could mean. And here in my packet, I wrote that it said it needs to blend, in order to blend into its surroundings, the octopus has projections sticking out of its skin. Did you see that too? So in my words, I wrote down that projections probably means, from what I gather here in my context clues, that it's probably a way for the octopus to camouflage. And that's what I put. When in fact, I looked up the definition online and I found that projections means a thing or part that sticks out. So there it is, sticking out of skin, part that sticks out. Projections probably means something that sticks out. Let's go ahead and copy that into our packet. And finally, we have the word blubber, which is on paragraph 9. So again, in Animal Adaptations, we're going to paragraph 9, which is labeled for us, like all the paragraphs. And here, we're going to be talking about the penguin. And I can see that we're going to talk about the penguin because it says so right here in my heading, right? So that little subtitle here tells me that this is all going to be about penguins. So let's read. Remember, you don't have to read the whole thing, just the words around it, even the sentence after, to help me figure out what the word blubber means. First, the penguin's body covering helps it survive in cold places. Under its skin, the penguin has a layer of fat called blubber. This layer keeps the penguin warm. All right, so I think I already figured it out, right? Did you see it? Because I wrote layer of fat under the skin, and it says so right here. Under its skin, the penguin has a layer of fat called blubber. This layer keeps the penguin warm, and I put that, keeps warm. So I determined from what I read and what I gathered from that paragraph that blubber probably means it's a layer of fat under the skin. And when I looked it up online, it said that blubber is a layer of fat beneath the skin of whales, seals, and other large sea mammals. Now, a penguin is not a mammal, it's actually a bird. But because it lives in that really cold, frigid ocean, right? In Antarctica, that's where all the penguins live. They need that extra layer of blubber or fat to keep them warm. So, boys and girls, if you have not copied this into your lesson 6 chart, go ahead and do so right now. All right, you must be done with context clues chart, which means I'm going to move on to the very next page, the back page. So it's right on the back, and it says key details and main idea chart for One Body, Many Adaptations. Remember, this one is going to be our focus of the week, and we're going to be reading parts of it every single day. We're working on the key details and the main idea of One Body, Many Adaptations, and we're going to break it down into sections. And today, I'm only going to work on the introduction, which is paragraph 1 and 2. Now, I've already started because I've read paragraph 1, and I'm going to finish off the rest of it with you for paragraph 2, and then we're going to determine what the main idea probably is for paragraphs 1 and 2, which we know is the introduction. So let's turn back in our Animal Adaptations book to page 22, which is the beginning of One Body, Many Adaptations. And I'm going to read paragraph 1. Here we go. Animals live in many different places. Some animals live in hot deserts. Others live in frigid oceans. However, all have become adapted to where they live. Where an animal lives determines its adaptations. Animals rely on these special features to survive. So I saw two big important pieces of details, of information, right? So I saw the first one, which was animals live in many different places. And we knew that from the hot deserts and frigid oceans, right? And then it says, where an animal lives determines its adaptations. Now we are talking about One Body, Many Adaptations, and it says so right here that wherever an animal lives, that's what determines its survival skills. So that's what I wrote for my details in paragraph 1, that animals live in different places, and that the places determine their adaptations. So write that in your chart as well, because that's what I got. Now we're going to move on to paragraph 2 and see what key details I can find there to continue adding to my chart here. Here's paragraph 2 on page 22. Adapted body parts are called structural adaptations. An animal might use body covering, camouflage, and special body parts to survive. Okay, those are the structural adaptations. The octopus, the penguin, and the camel are animals with many structural adaptations. All right, I got that. Adapted body parts are called structural adaptations, and they were talking about them, right? They were saying that it's body covering, camouflage, special body parts. So in my details here, I'm going to add that adapted body parts are called structural adaptations. Pause the video if you need to add this onto your chart. Now that we have all of our key details in, let's figure out if we can take all these details and figure out what the big idea is. What's the main idea? In one sentence, what would all of this mean? Animals live in different places. The places determine their adaptations. Adapted body parts are called structural adaptations. I see a lot of the word adapted or adaptation. So because I see that word often, I know that my main idea is probably going to be something about adaptations, right? So animals adapt to what? To the places they live, right? To the places they live. And that is the main idea. Okay? Different places determine their adaptations. They have all these different types of adaptations, like structural adaptations, and that is determined by where they live. And that is the main idea. So tomorrow, boys and girls, we're going to pick up where we left off by doing the octopus body parts to survive, and then the penguin body parts to survive. And then we'll finish off the week with the camel and the last paragraph, surviving in different environments. Thanks for joining me today. Have a good one.